All right, if this is how the Cowboys are starting the season, buckle up. Jerry Jones just grabbed the mic and lit up Oxnard, California, and his own roster. Shots at players, maybe even the front office, and no accountability inside for the GM. Here's what it really means for Dallas in 2025. Let's do this.
The only thing else I got to say is, how about them Cowboys? Yeah!
All right, buddy, I'm Gavin Dawson from 105.3 The Fan, home of the Cowboys 2 to 7 every weekday in the G-Bag Nation, and he is the former all-academic SEC lineman at Kentucky, New Bear Lesniewski. How the hell you doing, buddy?
Christmas in July, baby. It's Harbor Lights every day for 2 weeks.
Yes, indeed. And how about WOW? Brought to you by our friends at Harbor Lights, brought to you by Elements Massage in Frisco, and brought to you by our friends at Bet Online. And we'll have a referral link here before too long and our sign-up bonus special for you to take advantage of this football season, all your sportsbook needs over there at Bet Online. All right, man, I don't know, what exactly was going on with Jerry Jones today, but it was freaking awesome, and it was one of the most entertaining Jerry Jones press conferences we've had in a minute. Here we go.
Just because we sign him doesn't mean we're going to have him. He was hurt 6 games last year. Seriously. We've signed, I remember signing a player for the highest paid at the position in the league, and he got knocked out 2/3 of the year, Dak Prescott. So there's a lot of things you can think about when you, just as the player does, when you're thinking about committing and guaranteeing money.
I would describe the tone today as maybe irascible. I don't know if that's a word that I've ever used, but that's the word that comes to mind. Like, this front office has been under fire for the way they've done contracts. They've been frustrated by it. And today they were there to let people know that, hey, there's a reason why we go about this business. And for that one there, it was Jerry Jones talking about Micah Parsons. It was actually 4 games missed last year, New Bear, but, we don't worry about the details too much when old Jerry Bear's up there.
Having or showing a tendency to be easily angered on day one, hour one. Like, how much harder is Jerry Bear going to go over the next 2 weeks? I mean, he came out swinging.
Yeah.
I do want to say, I wonder if he was thinking 6 weeks, meaning like he was dealing with the injury a week before, a week after, like he missed 4 games, but I mean, was it a Freudian slip? Is there any credit we can give him? I mean, shoot, I called Pat Fryermuth Mike Gesicki the other day was something about 6'6" Penn State tight ends. I mean, stuff happens, right?
Sure. Yeah. I think you give everybody a little bit of grace, but Jerry also referred to him as Michael Parson in the deal, and he's had a number of them. Obviously Jerry's still pretty sharp, so we will grant him that grace, because it won't be too long before I make one of those slip ups as well. But man, let me draw your attention here to JJ Watt's Twitter account, because he saw that and had a reply to it and a reposting. And I wonder, New Bear, if Jerry went too far, possibly rankling the players. JJ saying, anytime you can publicly take a dig at your star quarterback and your star pass rusher simultaneously right before the season begins, you just got to take it. Nothing makes guys want to fight for you more than hearing how upset you are that they got hurt while fighting for you. What do you, I know Jerry likes to serve it hot, but was this a mistake with the level of intensity he came in today, New Bear?
The level of intensity, no. Choice of word, talk about irascible. Choice of words, string of phrases. To JJ's point, the thing that's the most striking about this is that it comes off of the summer of good vibes only. All we've been talking about for the past month is how cool these cats are. And now all of a sudden, Jerry let the cat out the bag, right? Where, I mean, this isn't just, get off my lawn phase. I mean, there's something else behind this that we're going to find out about in the coming days. And maybe it's a $50 million contract for Micah, where he's just so sick of everybody talking about it and all the noise that, he keeps talking about how he's trying to communicate. Micah's saying no one's reaching out to him. That he said again, this is day one. Strap in.
It is fantastic, and there's never a boring day covering the Cowboys. But you mentioned there the good vibes as compared to Jerry's irascibility. today. I think that's a pretty interesting juxtaposition, because on stage you have Shoddy, who's been doing his vibes, but suddenly it's Jerry and Steven, and they're taking heat going back to the Niners losses and the Packers losses in the last 2 off seasons being underwhelming. So they're dealing with a different reality. And I think for the first time today on stage, Schottenheimer kind of experienced those two things coming together at once, something that's frustrated Mike McCarthy quite a bit over the last 5 years.
Well, and I know we're going to get to Tyler Smith and some other guys later, but without any giving away any specificity about the rest of the show, one of the things that I noticed about all of this, even on day one, it's different for everyone. The tone is different. The questions are staccato. It's and you see like Tyler Smith's like this. He doesn't know where to look, right? And I think these guys coming from these controlled environments where everything's kind of chill and it's not really real yet at OTAs. I think what this signals is that this is a different deal. This expectations, because of the Pickens move and because of everything that's hanging over the Dak contract and all these injuries that have major ramifications about. I mean, Diggs is about to release his own documentary. This is Aaron Rodgers level stuff, right? So there's a lot that's going on in the world of engagement farming. Jerry's getting everything that he asked for and another scoop.
And I do think that's part of it. Like, let me just say, one of my takeaways today was, I imagine that at minicamp, when Jerry and Micah had that arm-in-arm meeting on the sidelines for like 30 minutes where they talked about things, Jerry leaned in and said, now listen, at some point between now and the time we sign that contract, I'm going to go after you a little bit. You're going to come back after me. And that is going to fan the flames and make this Cowboys thing larger than life. The soap opera, the engagement farming is so important. And before too long, we're going to be up on stage shaking each other's hands and announcing that you're the highest paid edge in the history of football, right? And between now and then, let's just do our parts to try not to take it personal and to play this up a little bit for the cameras. I think that is a huge part of it. I wonder if another part of it is them taking a more discerning eye towards injuries, and we need this. Because he'll mention that Micah was out 4 games and Diggs has been out. We're going to get into all this stuff and the injured players they've had. And we've chronicled here on Bout Wow how the Cowboys have had some of the worst injury luck out of all NFL teams since 2021. You add up the Pro Bowlers and All-Pros missing starts, and they're at the absolute top of the heap. But they did franchise tag Tony Pollard after he got hurt. In a playoff game. They did a deal with Terrence Steele after he got hurt. They did the original deal with Dak Prescott months after the compound fracture in his lower leg that he's really never fully recovered from. So, a lot of it is their own doing to have injured players, and for them to not stop and say, wait a minute, this guy that wanted to drag out the contract negotiation got massively hurt. Maybe we should insist on him taking significantly less or just move on. And they've chosen not to do that in the past. So I hope this is them saying, man, we can't be so cavalier about these injured players.
Yeah, I mean, short of the crazy lettuce version or verging on toupee land. I mean, Jerry's up there like Jock Ewing, and it's a race to see who's going to get to play, Bobby, Gary, and JR. I mean, this is a soap opera of epic proportions for day one when really nothing happened. I mean, I actually woke up to Twitter with a camp fight, from previous years where there's all this fake news and people trying to stir up all this. Nobody needed to stir up anything. The reality of this is always so much better.
No fake news needed. And it is hilarious. Like, even scrolling YouTube, like put Cowboys in the search, you will find wild fake news that people have sort of propped up with AI. I actually saw a thumbnail the other day saying Patrick Mahomes traded to the Cowboys. And these people just going with it, right? Trying to get the views for monetization because I guess they need money that bad. So you got to keep your eyes peeled here in the world of regular and sports media more than ever. It did also become clear on this before we get to the next piece of video that as Jerry Jones is explaining this negotiation, perhaps part of the issue with Micah and with Dak is that the agents are sharp. They know that the number is going up and they want to get compensated based on a percent of the salary cap, not based on today's numbers, but what that's going to be in 2028 and 2029. And if my player is getting, like, let's say 10% of the cap, or I guess at $40 million, you're looking at somewhere around 18% of the cap or something like that. the way contracts have gone, we're doing 8% based on today's cap numbers, not based on what it's going to become. And Dak fought for that. I think maybe Dak got it. If you look at his contract compared to the others, they don't want to do that with Micah Parsons. And I think they're smart too. And as long as he's in a uniform week 1, I don't have that much of an issue with how they're going about their business.
I really believe the Micah thing, the reality of it. Now, I'm not saying any of this other stuff. The surreality of it isn't being drummed up, and what you said about him putting his arm around him, setting the stage like they were writing a screenplay at OTAs. But I do think that the TJ Watt, what we can learn from what happened with TJ Watt versus Myles Garrett is the years, the guarantees, and the totality, right? Because everyone wants to focus on the AAV or whatever that $1 more or $1 million more than whoever the last guy was to get paid. And what you look at with the TJ Watt deal was it's really 108 divided by 3. It's really 108 guaranteed against Myles is 123. So Myles won technically, and the 4th year they can get out of it here in Pittsburgh. And what's really fascinating thinking about Micah is that he is the only one who's really a part of this conversation who controls the second part of his prime, because this is 26, then 27, 28. So if he wants to do 3 fully guaranteed and he wants like a player clause for 4 to get out of that while he's in that second half of that 28 to 32, he avoids all the talk that Myles had going into age 30, that TJ had going into age 31, because he's doing the same damn thing all over again on the right side of 30.
Great point. And up next here on How About Wow? Okay, let's go to Jerry Jones talking about Micah Parsons and leadership. This off the 105.3 The Fan Twitter network every afternoon. Here's Jerry on leadership.
Micah Parsons, you expect him, even though he's here, you expect him to practice until he gets a contract finalized?
Well, everybody here is under contract. Everybody. Yes. And so that's what that is. From the standpoint of, let's say, what happens relative to, I'm looking at the entire NFL when I say this, and that's players that are under contract and teams looking to make it better for the team and for the player. In terms of that, that is incumbent if you're in that price range. When you're up there in that top 10%, so to speak, of the league, and that top quartile of your team, leadership is really big. And leadership exhibits himself when you're negotiating as well. And so I'm appreciative of Micah being here. I am. And it's incumbent upon us all. We've got a player that we've docked him for not being here during off-season workout, as you well know. And we will fine him for that, because those parts of a contract to go directly toward the leadership that he's is as a player relative to the rest of the team, and certainly, obviously, to our fans as well. So I'm big into, and not alone either, big into showing anything you can do for leadership if you're going to be one of these guys that are in the top drawer of all the money.
Okay, so this is clear. If you're a big paid player, they want you there. They want you being part of the culture that they're trying to install. And I think this is fairly new from Jerry because of who the coach is. It's Brian Schottenheimer now. This is very important to Schotty. We get all the guys here. We're all pulling in the same direction. And damn it, we love this football thing together. I think that's the collaboration piece that we talk about, New Bear. That's Jerry Jones kind of going along with what Schottenheimer wants to install. But, he's calling out Trayvon Diggs there. You're making a lot of money. You're not here. I think that is something they want to try to root out from this organization. And I support that as well.
Servant leadership, Jerry, I think there's been a lot said about the type of leader he is, the authoritarian. This isn't a democracy. It's a dictatorship, right? I mean, he's the guy, and he's the de facto GM. It's his show. And so in the Runner show, one of the things that stands out when you think about Micah going on with The Undertaker and basically saying, we wanted to get this done last year. We wanted to get out ahead of everyone else's deals. Micah is trying to approach this from a servant leadership position where he's saying, I'm here to serve my team, my teammates, and the big guy, right? And what's fascinating about this is the picking apart of, and when someone else is prioritizing others and listening to you and having empathy for this game that you're playing in the very public court of opinions, it's really wild to think about the numbers of it, because these guys, these first round picks, when the team picks up the 5th-year option, they go from making less than $1 million to $1 million or $1.5 million to 2 to almost 3. And then that 5th year is like a balloon payment. So Micah's base salary at 24 is like 8 times anything he's touched before. It's more than all the money he's ever seen before. And where Jerry's coming from is that it's basically set to double again. And then that's where it stays, right? That's the difference. It only goes up from here. The price tag only costs the team more. And he's kind of asking for it both ways.
Do you agree with the premise that your best paid player should be 100% present? Would you have that standard if you were running a team?
The exception to the rule can only be if you've won before and you've proven it and you've gone down this track and there are no questions. When you're talking about 30 years and no Super Bowls, every butt in every chair in the building, especially when we're regrowing part of the body that's going to help you come back in a petri dish. I mean, the beef about the Diggs one is really, really, really easy to pick apart because he didn't come back well from the first injury. Like, what this documentary, it better have something awesome in it, because otherwise he comes off looking like an ass.
He does, and there's a lot going on in there. I think it's tough, though, when you're in a negotiation that is going to drag out because you do deals late. I think it'd be one thing if you made a habit out of giving them fair value early and saying we want 100% attendance. But if you're going to drag it out and then try to make it a bad deal about my leadership, I do see the player's perspective there, and I think that's what kind of makes this such a difficult negotiation right now, is like you're kind of trying to guilt trip me into being a leader because your new head coach has this hard on for building culture. Right. Well, if it really was really that important to you, please call my agent and hammer this thing out, and I'll be in full pads in the first pad of practice. But right now, I think you're going to get a hold in Micah starting tomorrow with the first practice, and you're going to believe that the classroom work and being present and observing is going to be a close second to actually, getting out there on the edge and interacting with your teammates, trying to execute the plays. I did want to throw this up here real quick, New Bear, and that was Jerry in the walk-off. They have the main press conference on stage, and then he walks off and reporters go and ask him more questions. And he was asked, explicitly, is there something coming down the pike in the next couple of days? And he says there's no anticipation at all. We're just working with what it is. So to tie a bit of a ribbon around that Micah Parsons story, does not appear that deal's going to get done soon.
Hey, one other piece on the Diggs thing, or really in the totality of all of this, is that the 2025 NFLPA player report card graded Jerry Jones, basically. The Jones family, as a B. And if ownership's a B, you go, okay, well, why aren't they an A? And the main reason for that, when you're talking about the treatment of families being an A, when you're talking about the locker room being an A, the weight room being an A-, the head coach got an A, you're looking at what? The weight room, it's an A-, but the training staff and the training room were 27th and 30th respectively in the league. And one of the big challenges this team has is there is a perception that what you get from the guys who are putting you back together ain't any good.
Okay, I mean, and that comes down to personality, number one. Like, their head trainer is a bit of a drill sergeant, so I think some guys absolutely love him, like Dak, like DeMarvion Overshown, but other guys don't like him, especially a dog, an edgy kind of guy, like a Jaden Blue or a Trayvon Diggs. Maybe Micah Parsons applies to that a little bit, but it's also like the quantity of rehab staff they have that's an issue for some of the players. And they have felt like in the past the Jones family has tried to pressure them into playing when they weren't really ready or didn't feel right, and they were, they lost trust there. But I mean, one of our proud sponsors here on How About Wow is Elements Massage in Frisco, right next to the Star, and players go there because they need treatment at the Star, but it's not available. There's just not enough people there that can do whatever they need to do. Okay. How About Wow brought to you by Bet Online. We have 4 more audio clips coming here for you in just a second. was so happy to find out that Bet Online was coming aboard with us on How About Wow. They've been my favorite for a long time. I play poker there all the time, but you can get full service sports book and poker and casino games in here, and inside the state of Texas, that could be difficult to do. I know for about 20 states still across the U.S., it could be tough. So sign up link in the description, up to $250 in free bets and 100 free spins for all new accounts, plus millions of dollars given out every month in their VIP rewards program. And it's so easy to deposit and withdraw. That's another big point for me, because you don't want to get money on there and then have a hard time getting it back out. Okay. Let's go to Tyler Smith saying they are contenders here as I wait for the screen to catch up. Jerry Jones was asked about that yesterday coming off the bus. Reporters were there and they asked Tyler Smith. He said, I feel like contenders. Why not? Here was Jerry Jones' thoughts on it.
Tyler Smith said yesterday he thinks, yes, this is a Super Bowl team. This is for Jerry and Steven. Your thoughts of all the moves that you've made. You think this is a roster that can help you achieve your goals?
Tyler's one of the most intelligent guys in the NFL. And if he's thinking that way, I'll go right along with him. But I think that we've addressed many areas that bit us as I look at what last year was about. Y'all are going to ask about some of those, I'm sure, here today. But I think we've addressed them in a good way that will make us better. Having Dak under center is a good place to start.
He was not bullish on the idea of a Super Bowl. He was fun and tried to lean on some of that folksy charm throughout the presser to sort of get the vibe back to being good and fun. And hey, this is Oxnard. But I think he acknowledged in there, yes, you have addressed a couple of things, but I mean, what is it really? It's Booker replacing Zach Martin. So you're hoping rookie Booker is better than aging Zach Martin, and he was slowing down. And you hope Tyler Guyton's better, but I don't think you have a better running back yet. And I hope they've done enough to help the run defense there, but Sanborn and Murray Jr. So did you sense faith or confidence there from Jerry Jones talking glory hole?
I have such a fascinating, you called it the folksy charm. And I wondered where that was from the outset of this thing. Where was that? Why are you making Shoddy look like he had a mouthful of Sour Patch Kids?
Okay, this was at the very beginning. The Shoddy thing was kind of like after he'd gotten run through the ringer. So his folksy charm lasted about 5 minutes.
You said I'm gonna steal one of your quotes. You said, Shoddy looked like he was at the little kids table at Thanksgiving, and I said, man, I hope they at least gave him a spork. I saw that. I think when we were passing stuff back and forth on Twitter earlier today, I was like, Shoddy's face is crazy. Do I sense confidence from Jerry Jones? I think you always get confidence from Jerry Jones. I don't think that the man has been put in some of the most compromising photos and memes, and not AI. Actual.
Yeah, but Newbear, he was asked, are you confident you could win the Super Bowl like Tyler Smith? And he was like, well, Tyler's smart. So if he says that, I'm going along with him. And we address many of our issues. But like when Jerry feels great, there's no hiding it, right? So if there's any concern, he's going to him and haw and aw shucks with you.
Yeah, I'm not disagreeing with that. I'm not going to digress any further. What I want to focus on more is what Tyler Smith said and how he said it. Because when Tyler Smith was getting asked question after question, and he's literally like trying to figure out, like, holy crap, strap in. It's the regular season now. Like, these guys are chomping at the bit. His voice never cracked. He never got more or less excited. I think Tyler Smith is locked in, right? It's a circus with Jerry Jones. So to your point about how the mood changed throughout the day, you're going to get 31 flavors. I mean, he's Baskin Robbins. But when you talk to the guys and the ones who are actually going to strap in and do it for him on the field, right now, they're one mind. They're of one mission, and they are collectively saying, we have everything we need to go out there and compete with anyone. And Tyler Smith made the analogy that all the hay, we've baling hay, and the barn is full, and now we're ready to just go keep stacking it and keep putting more hay. And when you look at this team, Jason Garrett said back when the Pickens trade was made that this doesn't make them the most talented team, but they're certainly the least talented team. They had a really good draft, and now we're here to strap in and find out what we're made of, and we'll see some inter-squad scrimmages and some really fun stuff here in the coming weeks where they're going to start getting tested. They're going to start getting judged. We're going to start getting answers to questions.
Okay, since you brought it up, let's go to Tyler Smith. Right off the bus, reporters got him yesterday, and here was like that 15-second exchange with the reporter on goals for and expectations. Oh, yeah, I'm going to have to.
You're going to fix this in post, darling?
I might have to. Here's Tyler Smith.
Expectations for this football team?
Super Bowl champions. That's always the expectation. So, yeah.
I think that's a realistic goal.
I think it is a realistic goal because we can win the Super Bowl. Like, why not? Why can't we win? Do you think it's unrealistic?
You think the roster is in place to do that?
I think it is in place to do that. Yes, sir.
And I love it. He is so tough, dude.
Turn it around.
And he's like, I wouldn't look at Tyler Smith and say no. I mean, in a lot of those reporter situations, if I get asked a direct question like that, I've been like, well, I mean, I think the offense is pretty good, but what about the defense? But I mean, that look from Tyler Smith, I'm just going to keep it moving, my man.
And now there's basically two of him, right? I think what Tyler Smith sees is he's got his little bro, and Booker and him are going to go mess some dudes up. And
Yeah.
BB's going to come along and become a real pivot. Guyton's going to – I think Tyler Smith feels real good about the room he's in.
And he should, and those three guys in the middle are absolutely going to wreck shop. I'm very confident about that. We'll see, if the tackles can hold up their end of the bargain. Okay, a little bit more Jerry Jones here for you on How About Wow.
How about them Cowboys? Yeah!
Okay, here's more from Jerry Jones. I'm going to share screen there. We go back to the fans' Twitter account. When asked why the Cowboys got deals done early with Trayvon Diggs and Terrence Steele and not Lamb, Parsons, etc., here was Jerry Jones at today's press conference.
Jerry kind of just talked about, the things that can happen before contracts up, and that's why you kind of wait for it a little bit. You've done deals, though, early with Trayvon Diggs, with Terrence Steele before it was time for it. What's the difference between those situations and a situation like CeeDee Lamb and Micah Parsons?
Frankly, should we have waited on Diggs and Steele? Oh, you brought them up. I didn't.
Well, the other thing is the willingness. I mean, you have players who are, who decide, hey, I'm willing.
Isn't that great? I mean, poor Terrence Steele catching a stray. Jerry Jones is that unhinged. He's just, it's like there was an impulsivity afternoon for him out there in Oxnard, getting out in that California air. He was just free living, and I'm just going to sit back here like the old man on his rocker in your living room and say whatever the hell comes to my mind without filter. And I've fallen victim to that as well, but to suggest that we have apprehension about the Diggs deal when, after signing it, he immediately tore his ACL, then the microfracture, I understand. But Terrence Steele actually got hurt, then the Cowboys signed him. So I don't know. I do think this is maybe defensive Jerry with an axe to grind, and I in that moment maybe grasping for straws a little bit.
I mean, I was trying to find a through line, and you just beat me to it, where Steele got hurt and they signed him. I mean, Jalen Smith, you go back through Sean Lee coming out, right? I mean, it's not, there's really almost no rhyme or reason. It's a very gut-driven deal, except for the number ones. When it's Micah and when it's Dak, they're going to drag it out as long as possible, and they're just going to pay a little bit more. And they like it like that. When you can't have revisionist history, though. I mean, hindsight 2015, 2010, you can't look back and say, yeah, we wouldn't have signed Diggs. You absolutely would have signed Diggs. You would have done exactly what you did because he's potentially a Revis Island type of guy. Like, can we just stop with the nonsense? People get hurt. People fall apart. And, oh, by the way, you pay those guys too.
Yeah. Yeah, I think this front office is defensive, and I like it because we need change. We need something to be different. We need these guys to actually be bothered by the fact that they're losing and getting ransacked on social media and not happy because they won 3 Super Bowls in the 90s and they're making $500 million a year.
Well, I mean, that was what the whole jump off point for this show was. Like, how would you talk about the Cowboys in a different way or for a different reason? And if the end result isn't pantomiming and really just leaning into, oh, okay, it's folksy, let's have a laugh, and it's defensive, let's get pissed off, and fireworks in Christmas in July, fine. No, man. Like, you made those moves because you thought you were getting ahead of the game and putting yourself in a position to go get another dude to run with him or to pay Dak even more. Like, whatever you were going to do, it's revisionist history to say anything other than the Diggs deal was a bad deal.
Yeah, I mean, there's a really interesting point in there, and as you were wrapping up your thought there, I was going to say it, and then I forgot what the point was.
Well, let me give you go back to something that you were talking about. Like, if Diggs is good, his cap number is like 60% of what the other guys are getting paid.
Yes. Okay. So that set me off on the reason they do deals early is when a player is willing to take 20% less than market value, like they just did with Osa, like Trayvon got. It's like, man, I just need to be generationally wealthy ASAP, and then we'll worry about the third contract when we get there. And guys like Jalen Smith, I'll take 5 years and $50 million, even though the linebacker market was approaching 20 at the time, because he knew his leg wasn't right and he needed to strike while the iron was hot. So the Cowboys send a message to their entire roster. If you're 3 years in and you want to get paid, or you're a first rounder, you're 4 years in, you want to get paid, you can do that. But if you want to get top of market money, you're going to have to wait until the very end and on our timeline. And I think generally that's a decent strategy, but now the agents for the players are onto it. And the best ones are just waiting. And the ones that have a concern, like, I'm not a complete corner, I don't play the run well, I'm not that great in coverage, but I can intercept the ball, I need to get a deal done, right? Because I don't know if this market is going to be as high as it was coming off an 8 interception season. You know, I'm Jalen Smith. One of my legs doesn't work. I will do a deal now. Or Osa, for whatever reason, he just doesn't want to go play anywhere else. So he's like, I want to lock into the Cowboys and have certainty of where I'm going to be playing football for the next half decade.
I mean, Diggs had 11 picks, and then he said, I'm good at 97 over 5. He basically got $100 million. If he was playing anywhere close to that, we would be, Jerry, Steven, awesome job. And honestly, if Diggs was playing at that level, he'd be holding out right now.
He would. So as good as that Jerry Jones stuff was, this might have been the most bizarre out of left field. Here we go.
The other thing I would say is contracts are 4 or 5 years. Okay? There's a lot of water under the bridge if you step out there and do something in the first 2 or 3.
What is happening?
You get hit by a car. Seriously.
Did we reach the end of the internet?
There's a lot to look at over a lot of years that could make a big difference. Have you ever heard of any clubs committing to players?
I mean, he's like, he thinks he's dropping knowledge on you. It's like, okay, injuries are part of football. You know, they're cornered, and the entire media is convinced that they're doing things the wrong way. I think, you know, winning would solve a lot of this, but in the meantime, you know, I feel like at multiple points in the conversation, like Jerry's saying something like this, and like his son's trying to take the conversation somewhere else pretty quickly. We can all relate to that.
Yeah. I mean, I don't even know. I'm so focused on, and this happens with my Kentucky Wildcats too. I just don't understand how these guys that are worth all this money can't find a hat that fits. And that just takes me right. And when they say something like that, I'm like, go find a hat that fits your stupid head. Like, what are you talking about?
Yeah, who else was doing that today? I think it was Gruden on a TikTok or something. He just had the worst hat possible on. So you could get hit by a car is something Jerry Jones wants everybody to know is justification for them not getting the Micah Parsons deal done.
I think I dropped a walk and chew bubble gum. You could tear your ACL walking and chewing bubble gum the other day, and I felt like an idiot after I said that. Like, I don't know, what's his bank account look like? It's bigger than mine. I'm sure he feels fine. But like, what are we doing? Like, okay, are you trying to deflect it from the old man because he's on a heater on day one, and you're trying to like calm things down? You just threw gasoline on the fire. You look like you don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah. I think that's the brilliance of Jerry Jones, though. He's like, I'm going to get out here and say some wacky stuff and make damn sure we got at least a dozen headlines out of this and coverage on SportsCenter and you know, so you do have to consider that whenever Jerry's doing something like this, that maybe it's intentional.
I think the most liked reply comment inside of the thing that we saw when this got picked up was just a procession of Cowboy fans saying, I hate it here.
Yes.
Was insane.
Dude. watching this in studio or listening to this in studio while the KNC Masterpiece was in the middle of their show, it's live on the Fan, and Corey and Kevin are just like, what? Just every 3 minutes, like, what did you say? You know, and me and Broadus, or me and Wolchuk and Chiafalo are in the bullpen just getting ready for our show, like just having the best time listening to it. It was like there are a number of Jerry Jones press conferences that drone on and they're kind of sad and boring. This was definitely not that. Tim Cowlishaw took the opportunity to ask him if he's ever considered stepping down as GM.
Stepping away as general manager ever been even a momentary consideration for you through the years?
Yes, momentary.
How long a moment?
Now we're getting down to it. Small fractions of seconds. I promise you that.
Yeah. Stepping away as general manager.
And my bad, that's Mike Ducey from Fox 4, not Tim Cowlishaw. But that's the question that's sort of the elephant in the room that almost never gets asked because, you know, Jerry just doesn't take it seriously. I wonder for a lot of us, like if we were rich enough to buy a football team and then we started as GM and you win 3 Super Bowls in the first 7 years, even though Jimmy did a lot of the work, you'd kind of convince yourself that, hey, I hired Jimmy. I had a lot of these ideas. Could you give it up? Could you give up that element of control and celebrity that comes with the GM? I think ultimately I would, because that many people making fun of me, I'd be convinced eventually that they were right and I'm wrong. And then after probably a decade and a half of losing at minimum, I think I'd have bailed.
He's going to see the Dak thing through. That's his guy. I mean, this is the hill that he's prepared to really be the end of it. I don't want to say that it's the hill that he's prepared to die on because people are making jokes about that, and that's not funny. You can talk about him, you know, getting old and 30 years and all those things, but you know, at the end of the day, this guy's showing up for work every day and fighting his ass off, and he's writing checks. Now, would we like to see him maybe put a little bit more of those into the team? Yeah, let's go, Gilly Lock. Come on down to Oxnard, right? Like, where this gets fascinating to think about is when he does walk away, do they actually break from the way that they've been doing things? You know, here in Pittsburgh, when Colbert retired, they brought in Omar Khan. That fresh perspective really helped the Steelers move into this new era. Whereas, you know, is Stephen Jones set up to be able to, you talk about giving away control. You're talking about Jerry giving away control. Is Stephen going to be willing to do that? How does this setup look when Jerry does decide to move on? I mean, that's a whole nother podcast where you think about, you know, what the team looks like. Hopefully it's 5, 8, 10 years down the road. Because the one thing about Jerry Jones, and you can make all the jokes about not winning in 30 years. You don't win for 30 years, and you're writing those checks. You deserve every meme and every GIF and everything that comes at you on Al Gore's internet. But
yeah, I mean, I do think he's going to die on the job. Jerry is going to work till the end, just like Al Davis.
Well, you beat me to it. Like the Bear Bryant, like what these guys who are from a certain era. I mean, he's 60s back at Arkansas. I mean, and early 60s, right? So I mean, this guy is from a different time, and these guys are wired to think that. Like Bear Bryant walked away from coaching, and then he was gone from this earth about 5 minutes later.
One other thing about this, okay, and let me just get you a recap up here of Nick Harris Star Telegram. He talked about a lot of the interesting things, but you know, one that he didn't talk about was how and I forgot my point again. I'm low on sleep. What were you just talking about again in there, New Bear?
Going back and forth about what the team looks like when if Jerry did decide to move on, and how would that hierarchy look? Would they bring in outside counsel almost? And you know, what does the framework look like? Because you know, you joke about him being the de facto GM or the GM in practice, if not name, or you know, any of the things that go into it. It's his team. I mean, it's his baby.
Yeah, and I do believe Stephen offers a window of opportunity, a fork in the road. You know, where he doesn't have that desire to be seen like dad, that feeling of importance that dad has to have being new money. You know, Jerry grew up with very humble roots, even though his dad was a successful businessman in Little Rock, Arkansas. It was very humble. And, you know, Jerry sort of has this magnetic, charismatic personality that has rewarded him as he has wanted to be the center of attention his entire life, because whatever he touches gets attention, turns to gold. I just don't get the feeling from Stephen that he has that desire to be a celebrity or be in control as much as dad or prove that he's worth it as much as dad. Because, you he got to experience all of his dad's wealth from a very young age in the oil business. So that's my read on that. And I do think it's highly likely that there is a more traditional GM established in 10, 15 years whenever this thing does come to an end for Jerry Jones.
This is where the Joe Milton swing comes from, because if Dak can't go anymore, if his body really is broken, and Joe Milton becomes the guy that becomes the next great Dallas Cowboys quarterback, then that's setting the team up. Even after you're gone, they're going to be good for whatever the next run looks like, and whoever's in control and in charge of taking that run forward into the next generation. It's the same thing Ozzie Newsome did with Lamar Jackson. It's the same thing they tried to do in Pittsburgh with Kenny Pickett post Ben Roethlisberger. That was Colbert's last pick. You're trying to set the franchise up on your way out and say, hey, the last thing I did was give this great city another possibility of bringing home a Lombardi. And if Joe Milton hits after Dak goes down, if that's a scenario we're in, that's a crazy, awesome conversation. It's a great story. If he doesn't, then you put yourself in the Arch Manning, Lagway, Sellers. I mean, name your quarterback sweepstakes.
Raiola.
It doesn't. Yeah, Mahomes cosplay Mahomes.
I'm calling him Kobe Raiola because he's impersonating the GOAT.
That's tremendous. That's probably the best one so far. And if you think about him being the guy running around with the star, that's a pretty cool narrative. And if we're engagement farming at all, I mean, that's a place where you go and get a shovel and everybody digs.
Okay, Cowboys want more from Diggs, a lot more. Absolutely. That was a constant tone of the presser. This will be the last year that Diggs spends. And if they're struggling midseason, I wouldn't even play him because I don't want him to get hurt again. Then next year would be medically guaranteed. I want nothing to do with that. No movement on Parsons. Express regret signing Diggs and Steele. Okay, Steven suggested the team has started extension talks with Tyler Smith, but did not confirm. That's the next one to look at. Like, does Tyler want to hold him up and drag this thing out, or does he want to get his deal done and give them a discount? That would be huge. They want more from Tyler Guyton and Mozzie Smith. Shoddy in his 1 or 2 minutes of airtime that he got today, he did reiterate Tyler Guyton's been working his ass off. So that's amazing, and we'll hope for the best tomorrow. Like tomorrow, Broadus is in Oxnard. We'll go live at 2. Newbear and I, How About Wow, will be on tomorrow night, and I need reports from the media scouts, the insiders, or maybe hearing from one of the coaches themselves that, hey, wow, look at Tyler Guyton. He's lighter on his feet. He's stronger in his stance. We're seeing all the indications, and maybe that will be determined more when pads come on, which, by the way, Shoddy also did say the running back battle will not be determined until pads come on and that joint practice they're going to have with the Rams in the preseason games.
Yeah, I mean, unless Jaden Blue starts dropping the ball before the pads go on. I mean, that's the one bugaboo in that battle is if that dude hangs on to the ball, he's literally got a shot to run away from everybody and help this team really take off.
Yeah, Jaden Blue, you don't want him dropping the ball or dropping training staff. Apparently both of those things were at least mild concerns there at UT. There was a really cool comment somebody left on that video that we did over the weekend, though, that he'd heard Jaden Blue, terrific teammate, had organized off-season workouts during COVID for his high school teammates. So oftentimes there's multiple dimensions to a personality, and a guy that gets his feathers ruffled or is confrontational with an authority figure on one step might also be the coolest dude in the dormitory on the other side of that coin.
Yeah, there's a lot behind that, and if you pick up and you watch through that show, I think you plan to go about 8 to 10 minutes, and I think we did 37 minutes on Jaden Blue at the beginning of that show, and it was a lot of fun to go back through some personal history and then to dig in to think about what this kid could be. And the reason I said what I said just now is if that was going to be the walk-off where you gave a How About Wow and we called it a night, is that when you think about speed, it changes things. And when you think about CD and GP and anybody showing up, we talk about, GP coming in, having the ability to take the top off the defense. What if you have the ability to do that every time you put the ball in someone's gut before you even throw a play action pass? That's as scary as it gets. I mean, the thing everybody talks about, Randy Moss, Chris Carter, pick your favorite deep threat. They had Robert Smith running away from dudes, right? You got a fast guy back there. He doesn't have to have 400 touches. Hell, he doesn't have to have 300 carries. The threat alone, when paired with the other threats, going horizontal and vertical, there's going to be fireworks all season long.
All righty, man. Terrific stuff.
Did I just Did I just hit a Texas accent? I just heard.
What?
I just make sure he checked me and make sure I don't go crazy and start talking with a Southern accent. A Kentucky Wildcat coming out at me again. Like I used to in college. If I had a few brouhahas after adult soda pops, coming down from the Midwest, my whole family being from Chicago, the joke was that, I was two of them, three at ease. Like my old man looks like Tony Soprano and Bobby De Niro had a kid. And then I come home and I'm singing Tim McGraw and saying y'all. And my family still makes fun of me for saying y'all. So every once in a while, when I'm in that mindset, I'll go on a little bit of a run. And we're talking about Jerry Jones and being folksy. And every once in a while I'll be like, shit, am I doing it?
Man, as a guy that grew up in rural Washington State, I had about as bland of an accent as I possibly could, and I still do for the most part. But when I got to Texas, I was like, I'll never say those words. But now, 15 years in, I will hear myself calling it a crick instead of a creek, or 20 miles down the road. Like, what's a mile? It's a mile, right?
Chunk the deuces, right?
Yes. But I love being a Texan, and I love the way they say things. So if it rubs off on you a little bit, dude, I think it'll make you just a little bit cooler if that's possible.
I'll take anything I can get.
Okay, thanks to Bet Online. The sign up link is in the description. Plus, you can scan the QR code that's in the top right-hand corner. You can read our stuff, get our socials at howboutwow.com. We're going to be in Oxnard next week. Let us know if there's anything you want us to keep an eye out for. Until next time, how about wow?